Awesome. Hi, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you to our first ever Skyscanner virtual Pride. My name is Jenna. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the founder of Skyscanner's Pride Network and head of inclusion and diversity. I also run the LGBT and travel blog, The Jenna Way, so I am delighted to have the honour of moderating today's panels, and we'll be talking about a topic that I am so passionate about. So I'm super excited for the next 5 hours. At Skyscanner, we've been on our journey with Pride and LGBT inclusion for the last 4 years. So this is a really exciting moment to be taking it public. As with everything else this year, Pride looks really different. On a backdrop of a world pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement, it's really been an opportunity for us all to take a step back and remember what's really important and what's important to us. And that's standing up for equality, supporting the communities that need it most, and amplifying the voices that need to be heard. Pride began as a protest against the marginalisation of LGBTQ+ people, and over the past 50 years we've made incredible progress towards equality, but by no means are we there yet. Being LGBT is still illegal in 72 countries, and same-sex marriage has only been introduced in 29 countries around the world so far. Further to that, the marginalisation, especially of trans and LGBT people of colour, continues in almost every area of life, from healthcare and housing to employment and protection from discrimination. And of course, in the context of this particular event, travel. The LGBT community travel with a higher frequency and greater spending patterns than non-LGBT people. And there's also data to suggest that post-COVID, the LGBT community will be some of the first to return to the travel industry. Despite this, there are unique barriers and obstacles to travel as an LGBT person. That's why Skyscanner is delighted to present Travel with Pride, a webinar focused on the intersection of travel and the LGBT community. Over the next 5 hours, we'll be diving into a series of panels and conversations with some incredible influencers and experts on these topics. We'll discuss the nuances and obstacles of lesbian travel, the importance of LGBT representation in the travel industry and media, the impact of COVID on travel and the LGBTQ+ community, being an ally, and to wrap it all up, an exciting international drag panel in the Sisterhood of the Travelling Queens. Before I introduce you to our first panelists, we're going to start in about 5 minutes. I want to cover a few housekeeping rules. So the event itself is going to be running over the next 5 hours. I appreciate that is a lot of time. So please do feel free to drop in and out to whatever sessions are of most interest to you. This is a safe space, so we will maintain a zero tolerance policy for derogatory behaviour. Any abusive or offensive questions won't be permitted or shared with the panelists. The sessions will be recorded, and this allows us to make them accessible for anyone unable to attend today and to live on our site as a resource for anyone who may wish to hear the great insights our panelists have. For this webinar, the Zoom chat is disabled, but we invite you to put any questions into Slido, so that's slido.com, and you can head to the Slido link. For our first panel, our hashtag for the panel will be lesbian travel. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. So as I mentioned in my intro, our first panel is going to be diving into the world of lesbian travel, or I should say traveling as queer women. We'll go with a more umbrella label because I know that everyone identifies differently, but talking about the nuances of travel, both as people in the LGBT community and as women. So I'll kick off by introducing our panelists for the day. Firstly, we have Gabby and Shanna of 27 Travels. They are based in Brooklyn, New York, and run an LGBT travel blog, Instagram and YouTube channel. Gabby is a photographer, Shanna's a videographer, and together they use their creative platform to document their trips and share insight into their life and travel as a lesbian couple. Their hope is to inspire others to explore more of the world around them and to spread the message that travel is inclusive to everyone, no matter your gender or who you love. So thanks for joining us today, girls. Secondly, introducing Alexia and Aisha of the Queer Nomads. Alexia is the Director of Operations for UK Black Pride and a wedding planner at Queer Weddings UK. Aisha is UK's Black Pride's volunteer manager and runs Moonlight Experiences, which is a diverse tour company that celebrates LGBT, nightlife, history and culture through unique activities. Together, this power couple use their platform, The Queer Nomads, to share their travels and bring you a daily dose of queer black magic and some serious travel inspiration. Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, we have Roxanne and Maartje. Rox and Maartje are a Dutch lesbian couple running the LGBT blog Once Upon a Journey. The two incredibly talented photographers use their platform to share their insights into traveling as two women and championing LGBT inclusion. After being nomadic for 3 years, they are Amsterdam based again, but this hasn't stopped them from continuing their gorgeous pride-filled photographs, for creating gorgeous pride-filled photographs on their Instagram. And they've even launched a new blog, Vega Recepten, if I got that right in Dutch, which is dedicated to vegan and vegetarian recipes. And they've been publishing rainbow-inspired recipes all month long. So thank you so much to all of you for joining. I just wondered if we could kick off with maybe just saying your names so everyone knows who we're hearing from, and also sharing your pronouns. That would be really great. And if you've got a favorite travel moment of 2019, I'd love to hear that. Shanna and Gabby, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah, so I'm Shanna.
And I'm Gabby.
And as Jenna already said, we are known as 27 Travels. A lot of people always ask us, why 27? What does that mean? It's actually our anniversary. So it's the date of our anniversary, which is on January 27th. And that's why we, titled it 27 Travels, because even though we're traveling the world together, it's still coming from a place of our love and our relationship. My pronouns are she, her, and hers.
And mine are she and hers as well.
And for 2019 travel memories, I think for us, it would have to be the Philippines. That was our first time ever going to Asia, and we just had an amazing experience there. The people in the Philippines are so nice, like the nicest people ever, right?
Yeah, no, it was amazing. We basically got into a million disasters and like went on our motorbike everywhere and ran out of money. So it was great.
Amazing. Aisha and Alexa, do you want to go next?
Hi, so I'm Alexia and she's Aisha.
And yeah, we're from Queer. We have our Instagram, which is the Queer Nomads. Mainly Alexia and I are here in London, and we work alongside many organizations, but mainly UK Black Pride. And we started our Instagram so that we can share a bit more diversity within the travel industry, because it's something we realized we didn't see ourselves in. And that's the reason why we wanted to ensure that we are visible.
And our favorite moment of 2019 is our trip to Thailand.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm sure you've all been to Thailand and you know how amazing it is and how great the food is. And it's just up there.
Yeah. And definitely it's like one of those places that is very gay friendly.
Yes.
And for us, we feel very safe just being anywhere around there.
For sure. Love Thailand. Rox and Maartje, do you want to go?
Yes, we're big Thailand lovers too. But I'm Roxanne.
And I'm Maartje.
Pronoun she, her, hers.
Yeah, and for me, same, she, her, hers.
And my favorite travel moment of last year was South Africa and our safari. We went with the girls of 27 Travels, but it was amazing. I'm a big animal lover and I had a great time.
Yeah, and my favorite travel moment was doing Dia de Muertos in Mexico City. We went to like a cemetery and like really connected with the locals and like experienced their Dia de Muertos like celebration, which was really special.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna put my first question to you guys, Rox and Maartje, because it was actually your idea to have a panel that specifically focuses on women in travel and lesbian travel. So why is it important to you that lesbian travel has its own conversation and its own platform?
I think, so we started traveling 3 years ago. We went on a world trip, like full time. And at that time, we didn't see any visible couples that we could relate to doing the same thing. And I think also in LGBT marketing, there's still like a big focus on gay men traveling, and it's a lot catered to men. So I think for women, it's also always a question about like you're female, like traveling as a female is also a very different topic. Like a gay man cannot know what that is like, and same thing, like we cannot know what it's like as a gay man to travel. So I think it is very, very important to have like the visibility of women, queer women, to, yeah.
Awesome. Do either of our other panelists have anything to add to that on why it's important to you to talk about lesbian travel and be visible as lesbian travelers?
I think for us as well, for Black women, just to be able to provide this visibility for other Black women is very important, because like you guys said, it's very gay focused, gay men focused, and there's no one that looked like us, let's be honest. And especially in the UK where we are based. And I'm actually from France, and it's the same kind of thing. So we wanted to be able to provide that sort of platform for other Black lesbians.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree, because the media, I feel, in terms of the travel industry, doesn't showcase that Black people travel, let alone Black lesbians. And I think it's a weird conception that it seems like we don't want to travel, but we do. And there are so many incredible Black travel companies who have formed and who are so successful. So it's weird that it seems like that kind of group, women and Black women and lesbian and queer women, are isolated from that. So this is why we feel like it's important to kind of still represent lesbian women and lesbian people, queer people in travel.
For sure, yeah, it's really important to, I think the LGBTQ plus umbrella is so broad, so to dial in, like, there are so many unique experiences amongst that umbrella, so to be able to dial in and spend a whole like 50 minutes talking about this one experience, even though between three of you that's like 3 different experiences in itself, but yeah, really exciting to be able to dial in and put the focus on women in the LGBT travel space. Shanna and Gabby, what would you say would be like your #1 priority when you're thinking about traveling as women and as queer women? Like what do you focus on? What makes that unique for you?
I would say for us, like, we are all about the fun, but we do have to kind of focus, being part of the LGBTQ community, on safety first. So we always assess a situation based on, like, do we feel comfortable here? Do we feel like we can be ourselves here? Whether it's, you know, walking on the streets or in like a restaurant or in a shop in like a new country, we always research all the laws and public opinion of LGBTQ rights in any new country that we visit. We like this site called Equaldex. It has like a really nice, like very, excuse me, very easy, you know, to see like stats on, you know, what the laws are for LGBTQ people, what the laws are for same-sex marriage and homosexuality. So we kind of go in knowing what the country is like, but also you kind of just have to feel the situation when you're there, right?
Yeah, we definitely, when we're traveling, we're just like very aware of our surroundings, and we always make sure that we feel safe and comfortable before like maybe revealing our sexuality publicly.
Yeah,
like
like
maybe especially as women.
Yeah, like maybe we like won't hold hands, or we won't show that we're a couple if we don't feel safe in that situation. But that also is our privilege as being a feminine couple, because we both the first thing people see when they look at us is that we're 2 women, so we can hide the fact that we're a lesbian couple if we don't feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started like 27 Travels, that was something that like when we were looking to travel, we were like, oh, lesbian travel, let's look up like who we can get advice from. And there was like not a lot of people for us to get advice from, which is why we were like, it's so important just to be out there and to be able to share like when we feel comfortable somewhere so other people can also go there.
For sure. And Roxanne Maartje, do you have a similar experience? Is safety top of mind for you when you're planning your trips?
Yes, but like we sometimes travel maybe differently. So we also travel to countries that aren't so LGBT friendly, but still being safe is super important.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like the girl said, for us it's quite easy to like hide our relationship. When they see us, they see like 2 white Europeans girls when they see us. So that is always like the sexuality that doesn't even, they don't even think about that. So, but we do think it's, for us, it's also important to travel to like countries where, like we are from a country where we have so many legal rights. And I think it is like travel has also opened our eyes to see like how, because in every country there's an LGBT culture, like there's a community everywhere. Some people decide to like boycott countries because their laws aren't there, and for us that's not a reason not to visit, because they also need to meet other queer people and like maybe also see what might be possible in the future, or if maybe travel will be an option for them in the future. So I think for us it's also really important to connect with locals. And then,
but we do understand if you go on a honeymoon or on
like
a holiday just to relax, you don't want to like maybe look around. If like,
it's not like, oh, let's all go to Russia. That's not what we're saying here. But for us, like, it is important also to visit like Russia, for example, and meet other LGBT people there.
For sure. And I think the decision within each person to whether or not they want to visit countries where they may or may not be you know, openly welcomed is very much a personal choice. So I think it's great like to share people's thoughts on how they feel about that, and then leave that down to the individual on whether or not it's somewhere that they want to visit. Aisha and Alexia, do you have a similar experience when you're sort of planning your travels?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. And I think for us it really depends on the actual trip. You know, if we want to relax, we want to go places like Thailand, like Vietnam, where we don't want our sexuality or our race to be a factor, because I don't know, you don't want to keep fighting every single time. You don't want to be on the beach relaxing, going for a meal and being looked at constantly because, you know, we're holding hands. So it really depends on our mood and what it is that we want from the trip. You know, if we've had a long couple of months working in the UK, we want to go somewhere where we can relax. And at the same time, similar to what you two were saying, is the fact that we don't exclude countries that are not necessarily safe for queer people. When we do go there, we're respectful. We love so many cultures and we love food and we want to embrace everything. But when we are in those countries, we just are very more guarded. We do a lot of our research, see other people's queer experiences beforehand, reach out to other queer people that have been to those places so that we can get recommendations. And similar to exactly what you said, there's so many queer people in the whole world, in countries that you never thought you'd expect it. And I think once we start networking, connecting, we can inspire each other and, you know, inspire them to travel out of their country so that they can, you know, find different ways to feel a bit more fulfilled.
And I think from Aisha runs Airbnb experiences, so there are queer people coming from all over the world. And when, for example, there are people from certain countries which don't really allow gay people, are telling us, yeah, you need to come because there's an underground queer scene and you need to see it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm down to go into Beirut because it's like amazing. So, you know, last year also we went to Dubai. I went to Dubai for the first time, and I was so anxious about going there, and maybe I don't come back, I don't know. And I really loved it, and I thought, you know, and we walked down the street and we're like, oh, that person's definitely queer. Oh yeah, there must be an underground queer scene everywhere you go. So we want to know. If you know anything, we want to know as well. So we also go there and we feel safe, you know. But for me, I don't boycott countries for this. Russia is a different ballgame, but I try not to boycott countries because there's always an LGBTQ community there, and we wanna show solidarity as well, and yeah, we want to connect wherever we can, if we can.
No, it's absolutely true, and like with Alexia, with our Dubai kind of trip, I felt comfortable because I met so many incredible, inspiring queer people that came to London.
Some trans people as well. Like there's a whole community.
it's absolutely true. And I met them and they were so welcoming, and they booked through, you know, my company, Moonlight Experiences. And so that kind of makes you kind of drop your preconceptions about that place. You assume if you go over there, you're going to end up in jail straight away. But people find ways of living and amplifying their own voices. And once you get to know those people, I think you start to feel better. And I feel like you need to really understand the reality and not what the media constantly throws at us.
For sure. And that's the power of what all three of you do with your blogs and your platforms. It's giving that like real insight into personal experiences, and while every experience is completely unique to the individual, it's really great to get that insight of like on the ground what you've experienced there. In terms of, I guess, thinking like in more detail than the country itself, when we think about the travel industry with like airlines and hotels, are there any particular things that you've experienced that have been like super positive and welcoming from, you know, within the travel industry, or best practices that if there's anyone listening on the webinar that's working in the travel industry, you'd like them to know is like really great practice for being welcoming to lesbian travelers? I'll go to Shanna and Gabby. I think you're unmuting.
I mean, one thing that like happens to us occasionally is, you know, they'll ask us like, oh, do you want, are you sure you only want one bed, or are you, you know, things like that. So I think that if you're a couple, no matter who you are and you're booking something, maybe not to question, you know, why they're making the choices that they're choosing. Just kind of like let the couple, you know, the person, whatever they've booked, whether it's a flight or a hotel or a tour or anything like that, just, you know, whatever the person who is booking it says that they want, maybe just kind of trust them that, you know, they want what they said that they want.
That they know they want one bed, basically.
Yeah.
Roxanne Maartje, do you have any other thoughts, any other great inclusive tips for people in the travel industry?
Yeah, I think for hotels, for example, sometimes there's like this little flyer about like gay things to do in a city, and that immediately makes me feel like more welcome. It's like if maybe I don't want to ask people about it because I'm not sure, but there's like a flyer right there, and I'm like, oh, you know, they have the information, they want to provide that information, and like maybe if I have more questions, it's like, obviously most of the time it's more for like men, again, like men clubs and stuff, but like then if there is a flyer, I may dare to ask like, hey, what's there for girls? Yeah,
and I wanted to say something else about like the double bed, because we often get the question like, are you two sisters? And then like it's super awkward if someone already has in their mind that we are sisters, then ask for a double bed, and then things get
maybe
very awkward.
Yeah, but then maybe for sisters it's still okay for a double bed, but like there's no way we're gonna reply with no, we have a relationship, because it's like if you already have in mind we're family, like if we then say we're in a relationship, I think sometimes that goes very wrong in people's minds.
I can see Aisha and Alexia laughing. I assume you've had a similar experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean the double bed or single bed question it always comes up, you know, and you don't want to be
had it.
well, you know, you don't want to be like I don't want two single beds, I want a double bed, but I don't want you to think I'm gonna do something in it, but you know what I mean, like
It's absolutely true.
but it's nice when people ask you rather than like ask you in that kind of way, rather than you know, assuming that it's two women therefore they need two beds, or like if they give us two single beds, then we are sleeping in a single bed together. You know.
Yeah, you all understand. It's all happened before when it's a bit too awkward to say,
you know,
we'll manage for a night.
But I would always say double, and then whatever they want to see, they
Yeah.
can see, to be honest.
And I think it depends on the countries as well. If it's places where we feel safe, and let's say we're in Europe or somewhere in the US, we'll be like, no, she's my wife. You know, we kind of just shut it down there because we don't feel threatened, and we feel confident enough to kind of say, hey, we are in a relationship, and then they go, oh, we're so sorry. Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Give us an upgrade.
An upgrade. Yeah.
But in terms of airlines. You have airlines like Delta Airways, who I think is important to work with queer brands. So they kind of work with queer brands, they put on promotions, it's all that visibility. And I feel like obviously more of that needs to happen, not just during Pride Month. Eurostar do the same. We've got a couple of friends that they've done promotional videos with them. That I think is very, very important, because we remember these things. You know, like the queer community is so loyal. I mean, you have like over 60 to 70% queer travelers are more likely to book with gay-friendly travel agents with accommodations, but not just because they put a gay flag. Those that are authentic and those that we believe actually want to promote our cause and want to be inclusive, because when you're inclusive, not just for queer women, for everybody, you get that market and you get that kind of loyal following. And I think everybody benefits from that.
Yeah, 100%. And we're going to move to questions in just a moment. So just a prompt for anyone who's on the call that would like to ask any of our panelists questions. There's a link in the chat box there. If you head to Slido, it's #lesbiantravel. So I guess my last question for the panelists would be, what most excites you about Pride Month? Obviously, Pride is looking a little different this year. I mean, very, very different. But what is exciting you most about this Pride Month? Shanna and Gabby, I'll come back to you.
So like we always say that like Pride for us is like 365 days a year. So even though we love Pride Month, we love being able to like fully celebrate who we are. We love all the rainbows, you know, everything like that. But like for us, it's like Pride really is just being ourselves every other day of the year as well. So like, even though this Pride Month, you know, maybe we're not marching in the parade, you know, maybe we can't go to our favorite, you know, queer bars in New York City and celebrate and things like that. Like, we are still having fun. We're still being ourselves, and we're still seeing everyone on social media and online coming together and still sharing what like Pride Month means to them.
Exactly. And for us, it's like all about community. And like part of what's so important for our community is just being visible and being out there so that people can see all of us and how different we are, and that they have people that they can like in a way look up to, and also they can travel, they can do all of these things, and they can just be happy.
Roxanne Maartje, what's exciting you this month, or all year round? I agree, it's all year.
I think especially this Pride Month, it excites me. Like, I find the term social distancing, like it's physical distancing, but I feel in a way more connected with more queer people around the world than ever, because everything is going online and it's more inclusive. Like people who aren't able to march in marches or in other queer places where Pride normally takes place. I think this is a very good Pride, like virtual Pride. It's taking things further and more inclusive and more connected, I think, in different ways like than ever. So I think that excites me about this year, actually.
Yeah, and we're having fun making rainbow recipes every day.
Rainbow recipes.
That's maybe something we otherwise wouldn't have done, but now yeah, we're having
so
fun.
Creative. I'm still to make some rainbow popcorn. Maybe.
Yeah.
Aisha and Alexia.
We are very excited about it because because of COVID-19, we literally don't go anywhere. And I don't want to go anywhere.
Even though the world is starting to slowly open,
whether you trust it or not, it's up to you. But me, I don't trust it. So, and obviously being part of UK Black Pride, we have little concoctions that we're gonna do, and obviously I can't tell you everything right now because nothing is out, and I'm sure some of my colleagues are watching this.
I look forward to whatever it is.
Exactly. So
don't tell my boss. He's probably maybe actually online, but no, no. So we are preparing things as well online, and I think it's not a bad thing, and you connect to many more people, and people that can't even make it physically every year, they can actually come and be part of it, even if it's like digital or I think it connects people even more, I think.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think we are in a unique position here in the whole world, in society, to also offer virtual prides on a regular basis and to do it well. In the past, like pre-COVID-19, it was like, oh, one of those things you do, let's stream, you know, but now everybody is on board to kind of be a bit more virtually savvy. So I think is a really good opportunity for us to really cast the net out wide, get the whole community in the whole world, in the whole LGBT community to engage in different cities. So I would encourage, if you are free, check out our UK Black Pride kind of events.
It's going to be amazing this year.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. And also what's incredible is I've started doing some LGBT online culture and nightlife. And again, beforehand, I never had this idea of doing so because so many people want to learn about each destination. And by having things like that, you get to connect with a variety of people. So again, it just means that you can celebrate Pride, not just in the UK, but in Amsterdam, in, you know, in the US. You can constantly travel around through time virtually. And I think it will encourage more people to be more diverse and more inclusive, and also kind of give you that extra urge to travel to those spaces because you can see what it has to offer a bit more.
That's awesome. And I'll stay tuned for whatever is coming from UK Black Pride. I'm sure it will be amazing when it happens. We are just sharing a couple of the poll results at the moment, and we took a couple of polls, just interested to know who's dialing in today and what your experiences have been. So that's what you're seeing shared up on the screen now. And I think we will switch over to Slido and share our Slido screen. That's a tongue twister. And we've got some questions from members of the public. So we've got about 15 minutes left to run through some of those. So Roxanne Maartje, I'll come to you first. What do you think? Oh, sorry, I should have read the question first, perhaps. A better one for Aisha and Alexia. What do you think needs to happen in the travel industry to better support lesbians and women of color in travel?
First of all, visibility, and then also inclusion. I think there's this sort of assumption that like we are the same, but we're not, because people don't see us the same. And we do get racism, we do get prejudice, we do get all of this. And for me, I acknowledge my own privilege that I'm a light-skinned person, so it's different as well. So you have to really be able to understand this and where we come from and what we experience on a daily basis. And once brands and everybody will be able to understand this better, I think they will be able to cater for us better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And similar to, this is a good example in terms of what Jenna and the whole Skyscanner team have actually created, is when you want to represent or promote a certain community, whether it is women of color, whether it is religion, whether it is those with accessible needs, don't do it lightheartedly. You need to bring those people forward and integrate them within your team, or get them to work alongside you, so that that voice sounds authentic, and that voice and that relationship is something you work long term. Because, you know, as we're saying, this is a great time for everybody to be very aware, but it's just the beginning of the journey for every industry and for everyone. So if the travel industry wants to do more, actually speak to us, speak to us. So many influencers, so many people who are able to give you their opinion. And you hear one opinion, don't assume that is the only voice. Like no one voice speaks for one community. So try and be as diverse as possible. And you can't do it at once, but you can do it over time, and which is what Skyscanner has done, and they're in that journey to try and amplify and change voices and opinions.
No one can speak for us, basically. And if you haven't been in that position of, you know, of receiving all this injustice, then you can't speak for us. Like I can't speak for any of you. If you've been through something that I can understand, but I can't relate, then I cannot speak for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's some really great advice. Oh, thanks. I'll move through the next question just so we cover as many questions as possible. what, Roxanne Maartje, what are your top 3 lesbian-friendly destinations, and what destination surprised you the most?
So a destination that surprised us a lot was Taiwan. We went there and we did not do a lot of research, but like, I think already the first day we saw like quite some same-sex couples walking hand in hand.
Like locals.
Locals.
So, like that's also another thing, if it's tourists or if it's locals. We actually went to Taiwan for a lantern festival because we went to the one in Thailand and we loved it so much we had to go to another one. So that's the only reason we went to Taiwan.
We fell in love with Taiwan.
We fell in love, yeah. And it was very open. We did couch surfing a lot, and when we were staying at local people's houses, for some reason we always talked about the LGBT community and what it's like in Taiwan, and like we did not bring the topic up, which I always think it's very special if people open up the conversation like that, which was very, very interesting. And definitely the younger generation there was so open, and obviously they now have same-sex marriage, so like they're moving forward. So Taiwan definitely surprised us the most.
I think in Europe, Sweden and Portugal, and
that's already 3.
Yeah, but
like Thailand. Thailand.
I also want to say Thailand, because we are big Thailand lovers, and we already went there between 5 and 10 times the past years. But yeah, Thailand is amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, I just went to Thailand in January for the first time, and definitely on my list of places to go back. It was super welcoming, and exciting that you found that experience in Taiwan as well. That's cool. Next question, Shanna and Gabby, I think it's for you. I really understand you expressing that you make sure you're comfortable before disclosing your sexuality, and often the first challenge is checking into hotels and being asked, "Are you sisters?" Which often happens to my wife and I. What's your advice in these situations?
So we always say that, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't owe anyone the explanation of your sexuality. If you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel safe, or even if you just don't want to, you don't have to tell anyone that you're a couple, that you're a member of the LGBTQ community. Like, we do it based on like assessing our surroundings, basically. So a lot of times, like, we'll be in an Uber or a taxi and the driver will be like, "Oh, are you sisters?" And we'll say no. And I'll be like, "Are you friends?" No. "Are you cousins?" No.
I mean, it's always awkward, but it is something that does just come up because people have their preconceived notions of like your relationship to each other that they just bring into everything.
So I guess like our advice would be, it would probably be different for everyone, but just like assess the situation on like yourself and see, if you feel comfortable. Like, actually one time when we were in the Philippines, like we went to this waterfall and there were a lot of locals there, and they were kind of like hanging around us and they wanted to talk to us and hang out with us. We were hanging out with them for like a few hours, and then like they just assumed we were friends, I think, and we never said anything. And then we went to go take a photo for our Instagram, which most of you guys know is like a couple's photo where we're, interacting with each other. And then they realized that we were a couple, but like we never said anything, but then they still treated us the same way, afterwards. So it was like, we probably wouldn't have told them that we were a couple, but once they noticed that we were a couple, we felt comfortable there because they just treated us completely normal. But I think it's just really based on, every situation is going to be different. Every time someone asks you, "Are you sisters? Are you friends?" Like, for us, it happens every single time we travel. I'm sure for most people.
We also get a lot of like, "Are you cousins?" And we're like, do we look like cousins? But it happens.
But yeah, just like for us, we always say like safe, just assessing the surroundings. And if you feel safe and you feel comfortable, you feel like you're going to be okay, then you can tell someone or you can mention it or whatever. But you also don't owe anyone anything at the end of the day either. Like, if you don't want to, you don't have to tell them.
Excellent advice. I'm going to leave this question open. I don't know if anyone has this experience. Have you ever had to travel on business to a place that you didn't feel comfortable going to as a queer woman? And if so, how did you or would you approach this with your manager? Has anyone ever had that experience or got any thoughts on how they would approach that?
Yeah, I can go. I had an experience last year. I went somewhere where it wasn't gay friendly, but I knew this was going to be the destination I was going to be. And yeah, it was somewhere in North Africa. It was amazing. And it's a place that is like filled with amazing culture. But I spoke to my boss beforehand because I needed to give a couple of presentations. and I ensured that my sexuality wasn't disclosed. So I wanted to talk about bringing people together, but I didn't make it specifically queer. I had to kind of adapt what I was doing, just because I don't mind telling people and I'm comfortable with that, but I didn't want to feel unsafe going around on my own. And in those cities, I'm very comfortable moving around, but I don't want to, you know, tackle that situation. So I spoke to my boss and they did, you know, not include my sexuality, no rainbow flags, no nothing. So, and it worked well. But also what I wanted to say in terms of businesses and certain places where you might not feel comfortable is I feel the younger generations in places like Thailand and Asia, they're a lot more receptive and open. And I feel for us, like, even when we don't say things and we see things, we're like, oh, look, they are queer friendly. Sometimes I think everybody assumes the worst, you know, so they don't say anything. And I think we should try to be more open to surprises and not to judge everybody and you know, with the same brush, basically.
And make sure that you know where your wife is, because if you need to intervene, you know where to go. So I knew where I needed to be if I need to go there, because it's important.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like, I need to know where you are, because if there's anything, any nonsense, I need to know where I need to be. So, you know, backup is always ready.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, safety is number one. So, like, tell everybody where you are. Like, when we travel, my parents want to know, for example. They're like, oh, are you sure you're going here? And, you know, checking with friends, with family. Because more than ever, women are solo traveling. More than ever, queer people are moving around. So there's things you can do to ensure your safety.
For sure. So we've got a fun last question, and this question is perfect because we've got you in 3 different locations. So we've got a New York, London and Amsterdam representation. So maybe I'll ask each of you to finish up what would be your sort of favorite lesbian bar that you would recommend if someone is visiting your city.
Shall we start?
Yeah,
so like in Amsterdam, there's like a new lesbian bar. It's called Bar Buka, and Buka, it's like an Indonesian word and it means open. So the owner, she is also Indonesian, and it's a fun place. But from travels, it's
also the only lesbian bar.
It's the only lesbian bar in Amsterdam. But from travels, we really love Club Switch in Berlin. It's a very nice LGBT club. So if you ever go to Berlin,
it's not specifically lesbian, but it is fun. Yeah, and it's dancing and like they have different rooms, different music, like the whole night. You're like,
yes. But if you come to Amsterdam, Bar Buka, it is.
Awesome. Shanna and Gabby.
So we're from New York City, and even though there's like a lot of, you know, queer bars or gay guy bars, there's actually only 3 lesbian bars in all of the boroughs of New York City, but we frequent them a lot. So
yeah, and we definitely have a favorite bar. Our favorite bar is Cubbyhole. It's actually where Shanna and I met, and that one's in Manhattan. We actually met at Cubbyhole on Pride, so definitely our favorite bar.
It's really small though, so if you come, you're gonna be like squished like this.
It's like being in a closet with 200 other people in the closet.
Mostly lesbians.
Sounds great. Aisha, Alexia.
Yes, similar to Shanna and Gabby, in London we only have 1 lesbian bar. I know we're laughing because when you think about it in terms of how incredible and diverse London is and should be, we have a lot of gay bars but not a lot of lesbian bars. But what tends to happen is the fact that it's not about the venue, it's about events. So there's loads of queer women events, and there's more than 15. And this is what I offer for LGBT travelers on my company, because a lot of people don't know about these. They're all on the ground. And I actually work for Her Social app, and we actually create queer women parties all around the world, including London. And this gives an opportunity to bring 300, 400 women together so that you can be in a safe space, and it's not necessarily a bar, but it moves around. So you can get the opportunity to explore different places around the city as well, not just one space. But the only lesbian bar in London is Shoe Bar. Is in the most commercial place in Soho. So it's one of those places that you kind of find.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the history of being a lesbian in London. All your exes are there.
Yes, and it's very
cool.
small.
Yeah, it's small, but it's when you go there, you have a good time. That's for sure.
And it's places like that I recommend everybody to actually explore different sides of the community. Go to the commercial hotspots, but then also explore the places that not everybody goes to without a local.
Right, now you've got me wanting to travel to all these places. As soon as we can travel again, I'll come visit you.
When you come to London, we'll show you around.
Yeah, we'll look after you. All of
and
you.
everyone else.
Amazing. So we've got like sadly 15 more questions that I don't think we're gonna have time to get through because we need to finish up. But I would just put out a call to anyone. I'm sure that you will be open to answering questions if anyone has them and wants to message you directly. So maybe we'll just wrap up with this panel by just sharing where people can find you, and if you want to shout out any of the sort of businesses that you're working on or any projects that you want to highlight. Yeah, I guess just shout and self-promote. Shanna and Gabby, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, really anywhere as 27 Travels. Anywhere as 27 Travels, that's us. But we also run a production company that's based in New York City. But whenever we're traveling, we're happy to do production work as well, because like Jenna said earlier, I'm a videographer and Gabby's a photographer. So we're very visual, but our travel blog is 27travels.com, and we have like all of our tips from traveling and everything on there. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Aisha and Alexia? Where can we find you?
So you can find us on the Queer Nomads on Instagram. We are not on YouTube not yet.
Not yet.
My personal Instagram is Queer Weddings UK. For anyone getting married, come and see me.
Yes.
I'm the head of operations at UK Black Pride, which you can check out as well. That's it for me.
And for me as well, you can find us at the Queer Nomads. And if you are ever in London, and I'm also expanding to different cities such as Paris, Amsterdam, New York, with Moonlight Experiences, so that all LGBT travelers can get to experience the more authentic side of that city. So follow me at Moonlight Experiences. And again, you can find me on my webpage, email, the usual.
Or just chat to us and we'll tell you more about it.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome.
Yes, you can find us on Instagram at Once Upon a Journey, and Journey is JRNY, so without the vowels. And our website is the same, but with .com. And if you want to see our recipes, just go to our own Instagram, and we share many things to our website, because like it's a Dutch name, it's like Vega Recepten. So if you're Dutchy, you know where to go to, but otherwise you can find it on Instagram.
Yeah. And we're also photographers. So, and since we're based in Amsterdam again, if you ever come over and you want like vacation photos or like a special shoot and
romantic Amsterdam pictures.
Yeah, and especially like as a queer couple, we know it can be a little uncomfortable sometimes to book like a photo shoot and you don't know how the photographer is going to react. So like that might be something you want to do. Like you can always find the information and like send us a message.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on our first panel of our first ever virtual Pride. It was really great to have you all here. So we are going to take a little break for anyone else who's on the call, and we're going to come back at 0:00 in 7 minutes, whatever time zone you're in, and start our next panel, which is going to be discussing the impacts of COVID on the LGBT community and in travel. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Shanna.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.